Good day and welcome to Aircraft Addiction. Today I'm going to be talking about my trip to the Commemorative Air Force Museum in San Marcos, Texas, where they have a fine museum and a fine collection of vintage aircraft for you to see. If you're ever in the area, it is definitely worth a stop. There's many aircraft and many knowledgeable docents that can provide great information about the aircraft. The P-39Q at CAF in San Marcos, Central Texas, is one of three in flying condition in the world. This airframe, as you can see, is under repair. It's currently getting custom disc brakes. The P-39 is a unique aircraft with the engine behind the pilot and a tricycle landing gear. It is powered by an Allison V1710-85 V12 liquid-cooled engine rated at 1,200 horsepower at 9,000 feet emergency power. It has a three-bladed constant speed propeller. The Q model, as with other models, had a 37mm cannon in its nose, which fired a very large projectile. This particular aircraft had a 20mm barrel placed in its nose at some point. Please note the three bullets. The caliber on the right is a .308 rifle round, 50 caliber is in the center, and a 37mm, which is fired out of the cannon that came stock in this plane, is on the left. That's a big round. One of the changes on the Q model was the removal of the 30 caliber machine guns in the wings and the installation of a nacelle on each side containing one 50 caliber machine gun. These were removed sometime in this airplane's life, and the 30 calibers in the wings are there just for show at air shows and such. The repair patches where the 50 cals were under the wing are visible on this aircraft. Please note these vintage photos that do show the underwing nacelles with the 50 caliber machine gun. With the engine being behind the pilot and the cannon being in front of the pilot, the drive shaft that drove the propeller went through the cockpit between the pilot's legs, as can be seen in these last two shots. I'm not sure I would want that spinning between my legs during flight, but these guys were tough. The North American Aviation T-6 Texan is a single-engine advanced trainer aircraft that was used by the United States Army Air Forces, the U.S. Navy, the Royal Air Force, the Royal Canadian Air Force, and other Commonwealth entities during World War II. It was known as the Harvard in Canada, and I am told this model started its life as a Harvard, but now wears the livery of a American aircraft. I am told this particular T6 is powered by the 600 horsepower Pratt & Whitney R1340-S3H1 Wasp engine. The Vultee BT-13A was a primary trainer that they used prior to going into the T6 Texan. It was powered by a Pratt & Whitney R985-AN-1, rated at 450 horsepower. It was the most widely used training aircraft in World War II. The BT-13 got the nickname the Vultee Vibrator by its pilots because it had a tendency to shake violently as it approached its stall speed. There are fewer than 50 of these airworthy in the world, and we're lucky to have one of them here in Texas. The B-25 Mitchell is an American medium bomber that was first used in 1941. It was named in honor of Major General William Billy Mitchell. The example at CAF San Marcos is a B-25J named the Yellow Rose. This J model combined the glass bombing nose with 6 forward-firing 50 caliber machine guns fixed at the pilot's behest, 2 on each side of the cockpit and 2 firing through the glass. The 50 cals you see mounted on each side of the fuselage discharge their brass through slits, while the ones that were in the glass canopy, the brass actually fell at the foot of the bombardier gunner. In addition to the aforementioned armament, the B-25 carried in a dorsal turret 2 50 caliber machine guns in the waist positions, 1 each, and in the tail there were 2 50 caliber machine guns for the tail gunner. The bomb bay held 3,000 pounds of bombs. In addition, externally, rockets could be mounted to the wings, and some models actually had a hard point for a torpedo to be mounted. You can also see additional pictures here of the waist gunner's position. The B-25J was powered by 2 Wright R2600-92 twin Cyclone 14-cylinder radial engines rated at 1,700 horsepower each. It gave a maximum speed of 272 miles an hour and a cruising speed of around 230. It had about 1,350 mile range and operated at a service ceiling of 24,000 feet. This airframe is also in repair, with its engine being sent off for rebuild. This is the engine cradle that holds the massive engine onto the plane. The plane was attached with only 4 bolts. I found that quite interesting. The C-45 Expediter, also known as the Beechcraft Model 18 or Twin Beech, was a utility aircraft used in World War II. Over 90% of the United States Air Force bombardiers and navigators were trained in this aircraft. The particular C-45 that we see here today was delivered to the U.S. Navy as an SNB-2 and was later reconfigured into a Beech SNB-5 in the 1950s. This airframe during World War II operated from 3 different naval air stations, 2 aircraft carriers, including the USS Essex and USS Bataan, as a hack or aircraft for communication and transportation duties, or often used by the commanding officer as his private aircraft. As this is a flying example of a C-45, it is also under maintenance in preparation for the upcoming airshow season. The Douglas C-47 Skytrain is a military conversion of the DC-3 transport. This particular airframe, this actual airframe, was the lead aircraft on the D-Day invasion. It flew 2 missions on June 6th, the first dropping paratroops and the second pulling a glider. After serving in D-Day in Operations Dragoon, Market Garden, Repulse, and Varsity, the airplane was returned to the United States and sold to the civilian market in 1945. This plane is restored to exactly as it was during the D-Day invasion, including the hand-painted invasion stripes. The C-47 was extremely versatile, and its large swing-open cargo door could actually allow a Jeep to be stored and transported inside. The aircraft was powered by 2 Pratt & Whitney R-1830-90C twin Wasp 14-cylinder air-cooled radial engines at 1,200 horsepower each. This airframe is one of the few in the world remaining flying that actually took part in the D-Day invasion. This video is largely unscripted with the exception of a few handwritten notes and is my first foray into making a video. If you find this worthy, I would appreciate a like and a subscription. I will be doing some more air show footage and World War II vintage aircraft in the upcoming months.